Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mr. Rodriguez for your Read Aloud. This week we have an amazing author. He is the funniest, most creative one of his experiences written in stories, Robert Munsch. And Robert Munsch is not only hilarious, he takes into experience what happens to him when he was a kid. So a lot of this is not just fiction, it's realistic fiction. Realistic fiction is a type of literature and genre where you take something that happened to you when you were little and you create the story by putting your names different. This is the story of Thomas's snowsuit, who does not like his snowsuit at all. And in the story, there is a lot of fight just to get him to put on that brown snowsuit. Let's see what happens to Thomas and in Thomas's snowsuit. If you don't know who is Robert Munsch, he was the one that wrote the story of the Paper Bag Princess. And we read that a long time ago. So Robert Munsch is a funny author. Let's see. Thomas's Snowsuit by Robert Munsch. Here we go. One day Thomas's mother bought him a nice new brown snowsuit. When Thomas saw that snowsuit, he said, "That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. If you think that I'm going to wear that ugly snowsuit, you are crazy." Thomas's mother said, "We will see about that." The next day, when it was time to go to school, the mother said, "Thomas, please put on your snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." His mother jumped up and down and said, "Thomas, put on your snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." So Thomas's mother picked up Thomas in one hand and picked up the snowsuit in the other hand, and she tried to stick them together. They had an enormous fight, and when it was done, Thomas was in his snowsuit. He doesn't look happy. Thomas went off to school and hung up his snowsuit. When it was time to go outside, all the other kids jumped into their snowsuits and ran out the door. But not Thomas. The teacher looked at Thomas and said, "Thomas, please put on your snowsuit." Thomas said, "No." The teacher jumped up and down and said, "Thomas, put on your snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." Oh, brother, that's not good. So the teacher picked up Thomas in one hand, picked up the snowsuit in the other hand, and she tried to stick them together. They had an enormous fight, and when they were done, the teacher was wearing Thomas's snowsuit, and Thomas was wearing the teacher's dress. That is hilarious. And imagine that happening in real life. When the teacher saw that she picked up Thomas in one hand and tried to get him back into his snowsuit. They had an enormous fight. When they were done, the snowsuit and the dress were tied into a great big knot on the floor. And Thomas and the teacher were in their underclothes. Just then, the door opened and in walked the principal. The teacher said, "It's Thomas. He won't put on his snowsuit." The principal gave his very best principal look and said, "Thomas, put on your snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." So the principal picked up Thomas in one hand and he picked up the teacher in the other hand and tried to get them back into their clothes. When he was done, the principal was wearing the teacher's dress and the teacher was wearing the principal's suit and Thomas was still in his underwear. Then, from far out in the playground, someone yelled, "Thomas, come and play." Thomas ran across the room, jumped into his snowsuit, got his boots on in 2 seconds, and he ran out the door. Now the problem is going to be what? The principal and the teacher. The principal looked at the teacher and said, "Hey, you have on my suit. Take it off right now." The teacher said, "Oh no, you have on my dress. You take it off. You take off my dress first." Well, they argued and argued and argued, but neither one wanted to change first. Well, finally, Thomas came in from recess. He looked at the principal and he looked at the teacher. Thomas picked up the principal in one hand. He picked up the teacher in the other hand. They had an enormous fight and Thomas got everybody back into their clothes. The next day, the principal quit his job and moved to Arizona where nobody ever wears a snowsuit. The end. And I have to say, if you didn't chuckle on this story, you're about to chuckle this week or laugh with Robert Munsch. As we said before, we've been working on writing on the sky letter formation board. But before we do that, I need to remind you to draw anything that you liked about the story in your journals, with lines or with your primary lines, which I would love you to do, because that's what we're doing now. On our sky letter formation board, which I made a copy for you and I'm going to take it to your house very soon. I'm just waiting for the dry erase markers, okay? You will have the same thing that I have and you will practice with me as you watch the video. Let's start with bed. Bed is the rhyming word. It's a CVC word and we start on the letter B. So you start on the sky, come down to the grass, pick your marker up, go on the plane line and make a curve, making a belly to touch the grass. The letter E starts in the middle between the airplane and grass line. You go in a line across, come up to the plane line, come down to the grass line. And that's the letter E. The letter D, you start on the sky, come down to the grass, pick your marker up, and now you gotta face the letter E. So the belly starts on the plane line and comes down, touching the grass. This is a B, this is a D, and it says bed. Now, we're going to another word. Red. Red starts with the letter R, and R starts on the plane line. You start on the plane line, come down to the grass, come up to the plane line and make a curve or a hook just like that. E. It starts between the airplane line and the grass line. You start with a line, go up in a curve to the plane line and come down to the grass. And that's the letter E. The letter D, you start on the sky, come down to the grass, pick your marker up on the plane line, come down and make a belly for it to touch on the grass line to say red. Red. All right? And another one of the rhyming words is Ted. And I want to write Ted because that is a letter that we have not touched up here yet. So it's a capital T because it's the name of a person. So you start on the sky, come down to the grass, pick your marker up, and go to the skyline and go across. Just like that for the capital T. The letter E, you got to go back between the airplane line and the grass line. You're going to make a line. You're going to come up in a curve to the airplane line and come down to the grass. This is the letter E. And now for the letter D. You start on the sky, come down to the grass, pick your marker up, go on the airplane line and make a belly just touching from the airplane line to the grass line. And that is the word Ted. Ted. Let's see if you can do the same thing in your journal. Either in your draw and writing journal, you can use the colorful one, or any other one that has primary lines. Watch the next video on math and give it a try. You're going to love what I have for you today. Bye.